Hey, Kyle, so talk to us. What's one piece of advice you can give us this Monday morning?
My advice is to don't gamble with your financial future.
All
And there's a
right.
reason I'm saying that.
What's the reason behind it?
I think most of your listeners are probably being pressured by the conventional wisdom out there to start, quote, saving for retirement. And basically, the way I look at that is they're divesting money from their control and their use and their expertise, and they're putting it in things that they have no control, expertise, or use. And that's generally encouraged by the financial planning industry.
So, would you say don't start putting in funds into that?
I know, sounds crazy, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
that's exactly what I'm saying. The financial institutions that are promoting the philosophy of retirement and retirement planning, they only have one objective, and it's actually a huge conflict of interest. Their objective is to get assets under management. Their objective is to get your audience to send them money on a regular and ongoing basis and not touch it for decades and not receive any income for decades from those supposed assets. Robert Kiyosaki, in his most recent book called Fake, calls 401ks and IRAs, mutual funds, he calls them fake assets. And the reason is he says a real asset is something that puts money in your pocket, and a liability is something that takes money out of your pocket for years. And that's why he calls those kinds of things fake assets.
So then, from your expertise, where should we be putting our money then?
They should be putting it in what they're experts in. I've been to plenty of dental industry events, conferences throughout the country. And I can tell you by looking at all the exhibitors at these events, there's plenty of opportunity for dentists to invest in themselves and to grow and to expand. They're being convinced, however, to move their money and invest in things that are not in their expertise, which I just finished reading Andrew Carnegie's autobiography earlier this year. And in his book, he talks about that exactly. He says, I've never seen a man be embarrassed by investing in anything other than things outside of his expertise. His recommendation, which he's the richest American that's ever lived. You know, we think Bill Gates is super rich and Elon Musk, and they are,
Mhm.
but comparatively, Andrew Carnegie would be worth $300 billion in today's dollars. So he knows what he's talking about. And I think there's some wisdom in what he's saying. He's saying that, look, you should be investing in the things you can control and influence.
Interesting. So then, what are some strategic investments specifically for dentists that they should be investing in?
Yeah. So, number one, I would say don't be afraid of having cash. Don't be afraid of accumulating cash because cash means opportunity. I think everybody's heard the phrase cash is king. And there's truth to that. The people who have cash have opportunity. I'm sure most of your audience has dealt with loans, practice loans or equipment loans or things like that,
Mhm.
right? What if you could get to a point in time when you're only using loans strategically? You're not using them because you have to, but you're using them strategically. Maybe when the interest rates are really great and you're making more interest in where your cash is at, right? So at that point in time, it might make a lot more sense to just maintain the cash to take the loan, right? But in most people's cases, they're taking loans because they don't have the cash. So I would say don't be afraid to build and maintain high levels of cash because cash equals opportunity. I'm thinking about one of my dental clients that's in Oklahoma. I started working with him when he bought into his first practice, and he was making about $250,000 a year. So that was in about 2014 when I started working with him. This year, in fact, a conversation that I had with him last week, he's buying in 3 more practices. So he'll have a total of 6 practices.
Mhm.
He has over 10 doctors working for him. His annual income, just from what he does, managing the practices, he makes over $2 million per year. That's where people should be investing, right? In their own ideas, in their own business, in their own property. Investment for a dentist could be investing in coaching. That's a great investment. In fact, this particular client, that was one of the first big investments that they did is they invested into coaching for their practice.
Mhm.
And the amount of increase in efficiency in their practice went through the roof. So those are the kinds of investments that I think that your audience should be considering and should weigh heavier than things that they have no expertise in.
Yeah. Interesting. Was that revenue, profit, or cash?
That was net profit per year for him.
Oh, interesting. I
Yep.
like that, man. So then, how would you plan for long-term, I guess, like financial security and wealth building through the practice here?
So one of the things that you can do is you can start to invest into real estate, right? For example, maybe the property that your practice is in, that's an opportunity, right? And it's actually a way to change the character of your income. Let's say that you're paying $20,000 a month in lease for your office lease. If you were to own the building and now your practice is paying that to you, that 20,000 bucks a year, you're recharacterizing $240,000 a year. Now it's not going to be subject to FICA taxes. So you're saving 15.3% of that money in taxes. And now you're going to pay ordinary income tax, which you would have anyway, but you save a huge chunk of money over time. If you sell that practice in the future, you could still keep the building and it's a cash flowing asset to you. You can look at investing in other, what I would call real assets. Real assets are basically things that financial institutions can't sell you. So real assets might be owning a franchise. It might be owning other real estate property, intellectual property. I think about the inventions that have taken place in the dental industry in just the last 10 years, and it's incredible. If you've been to the dentist regularly, you've seen it. The way they take x-rays, the way they do imaging, everything, it's amazing how much technology, how much improvement has been made. What's the genesis of most of that improvement? Is it somebody who's not in the dental world, or is it somebody that's in the dental world that came up with those things? And I would say it's mostly things that were brought up or invented, or at least thought of by people in the dental industry. Your audience might be, as they go along, be coming up with ideas that are multi-million-dollar cash flowing ideas. And what I'm saying is that's the sort of thing they should be investing in.
Gotcha. Okay. So then how do you balance reinvesting in the business with diversifying your portfolio for long-term wealth here?
So diversification, I'll just submit, is a marketing idea.
Really? Okay.
Yes. In fact, I would encourage everybody to look up what Warren Buffett says and Mark Cuban says about diversification on YouTube. Diversification is an excuse for lack of knowledge. So specialization is what creates wealth. It's having an inch wide knowledge, but it's a mile deep, versus the jack of all trades that has a mile wide basis of knowledge and it's only an inch deep the whole way.
Mm-hmm.
People get paid for what they know. This idea of diversification, it's Wall Street. Wall Street is encouraging diversification because it's an excuse for their inability to pick winners and losers, which all the research actually says that they cannot do. And so we pay out these mutual fund managers and these money managers a lot of money, right, every year so that they can pick winners and losers. And yet all the research says that they can't. And what do they tell us we have to do? Diversify. We have to diversify. We have to asset allocate. We have to change that so that if something goes down, which is out of our control, which is a key point, I think, then not all of our money will go down. So my question is, should Bill Gates have diversified out of Microsoft? Should Steve Jobs have diversified out of Apple? Should Warren Buffett diversify outside of Berkshire Hathaway? I would say no. I think that those guys know exactly what they're doing and they're investing in the things that they know, that they're experts in.
Interesting. Okay. So then if we do have a portfolio and our consultants or our, financial advisors are telling us like, yeah, you need to diversify. We did it already. How can we start scaling back? Or do we just take everything out of our mutual fund, 401k, IRAs and stuff like that? Or what are your thoughts?
Here's my question. How much control or influence do you have over how that performs? None. Like if I bought Walmart stock, how much influence do I have over that?
Buy something at Walmart, but nothing happens.
But it's not going to move the needle, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to change the stock price, right? So I have no influence over that. So in reality, if you look up the definition of the word invest or the word gamble, what is that more like? Is it really investing or is it really gambling? I think that's the first thing we need to do. Let's call it what it is. And some people like to gamble, and that's fine. For some people, it's exciting. It's a fun game. But I don't think that people want to put their entire financial future on gambling, right? But they're being told that that's what they should do. So what should you do if you already have most of your investment in that kind of situation? Well, number one, does it make it better to put good money after bad? In the business world, don't put good money after bad, right? So if we're already doing something and we realize maybe this isn't the direction I want to go, then don't keep putting money in that direction. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
So that's the first thing. I would stop contributing if you realize that, hey, you know what? I really do have more confidence in what I'm doing than I do in putting it into something I have no clue and I have no control, no influence over the outcome, right? I'm actually penalized if I touch my money. Here's the other thing. Don't let the tax tail wag the dog. So what I mean by that is taxes, yes, are an important factor to keep in mind, but they shouldn't be the sole deciding factor. If my entire goal is to avoid taxes, you know what the easiest way for me to avoid taxes is? Don't make money. And I don't know of anybody who has that as a goal. That's not a goal for anybody. It's not a good goal, I don't think, to
Yeah.
not make money. So avoidance of taxes isn't really the goal. Financial freedom is your goal. It should be your goal. And I think that's what most people have in mind when they think about retirement, even though that's not what the word retirement means. I think that they think about financial freedom. You know, I want to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. Well, the problem with retirement accounts is that they don't provide you with any income. They don't provide you with any velocity. That's the principle. It's called velocity of money. So you put money into a retirement account and you can't touch it for a long time. Michael, you seem like you're in your 30s maybe. Are you in your 30s?
Hmm.
So if you're in your 30s, when can you touch that money without paying a penalty?
30 more years.
Yeah, it's 30 more years.
Yeah.
And who benefits from that? Is it you or is it the financial institutions?
I don't know if I'll be here in 30 more years even. You know what I mean? Like, so,
That's true.
yeah.
It's absolutely true. There's no guarantee that you'll live that long. Here's the thing. Those products, those accounts are not designed for financial freedom. They're designed for retirement, which is an age. Retirement doesn't mean capability. And so here's the question. Would you rather pay the tax and maybe even the penalty? Right now, the market's still at near its all-time high. It might make sense, actually, to cash out and pay the tax and the penalty, which seems totally crazy. I'm the only financial planner that you'll ever hear that suggests that that might be a good idea. And here's why. Because I believe in you. I believe in you more than I do Wall Street. They have a conflict of interest, actually. Their conflict of interest is this. If you take out your money, they make less. That's the reality. That's an actual financial conflict of interest. So when do they want you to take your money out?
Never.
Never.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's never. That's the game. They're just pushing it down the road for 30 years. And if you've put money into the retirement accounts, you've agreed to that condition that you won't touch your money for 30 years, which only benefits them. It doesn't benefit you in any way. But they're trying to convince you that that's true. And then when you get to 30 years from now, because we just said, what's their conflict of interest? They don't ever want you to touch your money. They get financially injured if you take the money out. When you hit 30 years from now, do you think they're going to still want you to take your money out at that point? Nope. They're going to give you every reason why you shouldn't, because you might outlive it. It's not enough. It didn't grow as much as we thought it would, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather you have half of that money in your full control and your full use.
Mm-hmm. Love it, man. Awesome. I appreciate your time. And if anyone has further questions, you can definitely find them on the Dental Marketer Society Facebook group. Or where can they reach out to you directly?
You can go to my website, uniqueadvantage.biz, and the last letters are BIZ, Boy Island Zoo. Our email addresses are on there. You can reach out. I'd love to answer any question. A couple other ways you can find out more, right? You can go to Amazon.com and you can buy my book, Principles-Based Planning, A Better Approach to Financial Planning. The other ways you can find us, we're on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So we'd love to have you follow, connect. We'd love to see you on there.
Awesome. Yeah. So that's going to be in the show notes below. Kyle's book, his social media handles. Please reach out to him if you have any questions. And Kyle, thank you for being with me on this Monday morning episode.
Thank you.